Good morning, my name's Suzanne and I grow cut flowers and garden in Devon in the UK, and I started my YouTube channel right at the end of 2022 when I started to do a few Christmassy wreaths. And I started doing the YouTube channel just because I used to have a job, I suppose, that had a lot of public speaking and interacting with people. And that's, I suppose, part of my job, but I have a different job now and I don't do that so much. So although I'm sort of talking to a screen, I still feel as if I'm interacting, especially when I get messages to actually, communicate with the people that take the time to watch my videos. So thank you very much if you're one of the people who does that. That really makes the whole thing more enjoyable for me. So I'm going to be showing videos on the channel which vary from gardening videos through to actually what I do with the flowers that I grow for cutting. Lots of the flowers I grow as gifts. So my sister has an August birthday, so she gets flowers every year without fail. It's her 40th this year, so I might have to get her something else as well. I'll have to think about that. Anyway, moving on. This video is a follow-on from a video I did a few weeks ago. So I did a video about how I make a classic bunch of flowers, which is I suppose my most popular bunch of flowers that I sell, because it's your flowers you could give as a gift, but equally you could pop it in a vase on your kitchen table or anything like that. So I made that video and I thought today, because I've got an order for a gift bouquet, that we would make that together. Now I have two sizes of gift bouquets, and the one that we're making today is the most popular, which is the mid-range. So it's not as small as my classic bunch and it's not as big as my deluxe bouquet. It should have 40 stems or thereabouts, but actually this particular client is actually paying a little bit extra. They'd like it to be a little bit bigger than that again, so there'll be there'll be 50 stems in this, but that's not the usual. Usually it would be 40 stems. So anyway, let's have a look at the flowers, have a look at how I display the flowers and that sort of thing. Okay, so this bouquet comes in a box. I think they come in sort of boxes of 10, flat packed, and the reason I use the cardboard boxes is because they're 100% biodegradable. And originally, when I started doing these flowers, because I'd done a few little floristry courses, I was to keep the flowers in water, I was using cellophane. Now I was using actual cellophane, and actual cellophane and what is now marketed as cellophane are two very different things. So real cellophane that's actually cellophane is biodegradable. It's made from cellulose. It's made from plants. And I was using that because it was biodegradable and I felt happy to use it. But as time progressed, I was finding it more and more difficult to actually find true cellophane. A bit like what I was talking about the other day in one of my other videos about burlap. On the descriptions, it calls it cellophane, it says it's cellophane, but when you actually look in more detail, it's got plastic in it. And it's not biodegradable and it's not made of cellulose at all, it is plastic. So because I started finding it was just becoming a bit of a minefield and a bit complicated to actually buy what I really wanted, I actually now use a vase. So the vase goes, and this vase fits in this box almost perfectly. And that way, they can take it out of the box when they get home and, just leave it in the vase. And what I do just to make sure that the flowers are transported safely and the vase doesn't break, and also just to make it look a bit nicer, is I use a bit of tissue paper. I usually use 2 sheets. I don't know if green was the right choice of colour. I went with green because essentially green can go with any colour flowers. So it's almost neutral. I probably could have gone with white. I suppose I went with green because then if you're working with really hot colours. But I don't know, I think maybe white would have been better. So what I've done now, I'll just hold this up so you can see, is I've just laid them the opposite way over each other. And then this bit is actually, you think this is really easy, but it's actually really tricky. And I lay it over the top of the box, and then without tearing it, get it in the box, just using my other hand to put it in the box there. And obviously you need it to touch the bottom. It's a bit like at my old job. Staff used to think I was crazy because I would teach people how to put. I worked in tourism, and the place where I worked, obviously, we had lots of rubbish bins everywhere because lots of people come to tourist attractions. There's lots of rubbish, and I would teach my staff how to put the bin bag into a bin, and they would think I was absolutely bonkers. But if you didn't do it properly, go to empty the bins at the end of the day and the bin bag would have fallen in with all the rubbish on top of it and it was a bit of a mess. But this is a bit like that. You want to make sure that the paper really is touching the bottom of the box so that when you put the vase in, it sits in there snugly. Okay, so that's the box. And then another thing that I used to do was I used to put my stamp actually on the box, and I wouldn't wait until I built the box. I would put the stamp on the box when it's flat at this stage. But actually, because this is really hard cardboard, sometimes I found the stamp didn't come out very clearly, or I'd smudge it. And anyway, there were various reasons why that wasn't working. So what I did in the end was I bought these little cardboard tags, and I put my logo stamp on here instead. So I made sure I got one the right size, and that works better. And then it also means if it is a gift, I can ask people if they have a gift message, and I can actually write it on there myself, or I can leave it blank for the people giving the flowers to write what they want on there. I still add my care card, which I do now. I mean, you probably could do this before you've built it, but I just use a block of wood so that I don't staple my finger. And this isn't on the front, it's generally on the side. So I just put that there. Put the block of wood just behind it, and that's just so that the staple fixes properly. Probably should have opened my stapler first. And you know what, one staple is usually enough for this. So anyway, that's generally the side of the box. And then, so this will be the front of the box here. I just use jute twine. I have been looking into getting some tulle. I keep sheep and I'm really keen on using wool and wool products. I use a lot of wool as mulch in the garden, so I think I'd quite like to use some tulle to do this in the future. But so I just put a bow on the front there, and then I just got brown ink because it's just very neutral again. I try and do everything very neutral. And my stamp, I always have to make sure I stamp it up the right way. That way. I had my stamp made by a company called Get Stamped. I had that made, not last year, the year before, I think. And they were really good actually. You just send them through your logo and you know, you choose what size you want the stamp. Oh, there we are, that's better. And then they make your stamp for you, and there's mine. And these little tags they're great. Then I just take a piece of twine again, put the loop through the hole, then thread the 2 bits through the loop, and then I just tie that on to what is the front, where the bow is, but just to the side. And then I'll just cut off the excess. Yeah. So that's how I package the flowers. Okay, so should we have a look at the flowers? Okay, so 50 stems sounds a lot, but when it's laid out, it doesn't actually look like very much. I'll just go ahead and show you all of the ingredients that are going to go into this bouquet. Okay, so I'll start down this end. 1 sedum, just because I think that makes it 51. I can't help myself. So we've got 5 of the red auroch, and then I've got this is to make up a 5. We've got oregano and achillea to make up this 5, and I believe it's 3 achillea and 2 oregano. 5 Rebecca Sahara. I've only got 4 zinnias, but I've got 6 dahlias to make up for the fact that I've only got 4 zinnias. 5 cosmos, mainly apricota, but this one's a slightly different one. It's a bit shorter, but I do like the colour. Can't remember what it's called, I'm afraid. Some straw flowers, some phlox cherry caramel, some scabiosa summer fruits, and then I've made up another 5 fillers, but I've made it up with bupparum and with dill, just to give it that zing. And that's my 50 stems. And now this is a hand-tied bouquet, so and in fact I market this as a posy, and if you look up what a posy is a round bouquet of flowers. So whereas quite often my classic bunch I can make fairly forward facing, because people, as I say, people can rearrange that, but also lots of flowers in the home, particularly in some of the sizes of small modern homes, flowers are not looked at all the way around. They're put on a sideboard and looked at from one direction. But this one is round, which is definitely my least favourite type of flowers to do. I like doing the front facing, definitely. And all I look at the bend on that zinnia. The thing that I do first is, before I start turning my flowers, is I just get a bit of structure going. If you start turning too soon, I mean, I've watched lots of videos and people are really religious about it. Oh, turn after every 3 stems, or I think you turn when you think it looks like it needs turning, because different stems are different sizes. If you put 3 stems of a grass in one side and then 3 massive fat dahlias in the other side, it's not going to be very well balanced. So I don't know whether to take that bud out or not. We'll leave it for now. We can always take it out in the end. Right, now I'm going to turn that one now. Lots of things this year that I'm questioning if I'm going to grow them again or not. And then you work with them and you know, you love working with them and you're like, oh, how can I not grow this? But at the same time, I grow way too many varieties of things. And I really need to limit what I grow a little bit. The higher down or lower up you hold a bouquet will affect the size of the bouquet. If you hold the bouquet quite high up, it will be smaller, and if you hold it lower down, it will be larger, and that is regardless of how many flowers you put in. So it doesn't necessarily go to say that if you use 50 flowers in one type of flowers and 20 in another, that you couldn't make them look the same size if you did the one with 50 stems and really packed them in, or you did the one with 20 stems and really held it really low and really spread them out. I'm adding all the big bulky flowers in at the beginning, and I tend to add the more fragile things in at the end when I've got a bit more structure. I don't know if any of you grow any of the sort of dinner plate dahlias. I think there are a lot of really popular ones, aren't they? I think they're probably really good, you know, in wedding work, but I wonder if they're just a little bit too big in things like this. I used to grow, what's the really, really popular one? It's gone. It's the big, Cafe au lait. I used to grow that one. I just couldn't work with it. Not in retail bouquets, which is, you know, the main thing that I do. It's just too big and cumbersome to work with. I don't like to have all my flowers at the same height. I don't think it gives a very natural look. It's very formal. I like this to look as if they are garden flowers, which is what they are. I don't want them to try and be something that they're not. So I cut these last night after work, so they've been conditioning overnight, and in a minute I need to quickly go and cut a classic bunch that will condition now during the day, and then I'll make that tonight, so that in the morning I've got an early start. I won't have time to make flowers in the morning. But generally I cut in the evening, which I think cutting in the morning probably is best, although it depends on the weather sometimes. It's just... It's you. Try and keep the shape at the beginning, and then we were just not quite round enough for a posy. Right. quite heavy on the foliage this side, so I need to make sure I get a lot more of the foliagey things equal if I can. I'm a bit worried now because I've selected an awful lot of really big stems, if this is going to fit in my vase. And zinnias and dahlias, yeah, quite fat stemmed. When I cut from the garden, obviously, I do like to work to a colour scheme. I don't really like to put flowers of just any old colours in a bunch of flowers. I like colours that are from the same area on the colour wheel is my favourite thing to do. But also contrasting colours are really good, so I'm a bit of a fan of orange and purple. Right, okay, let's get some of these scabious in. I'm going to thread the scabious in. They've got more fragile stems, so for when you tie, it's a bit nicer if they're snuggled in. Although with one like that, I couldn't do that with that because he's a bit pronged. And what is a stem? Is it just one stem of flower? And if you did a bouquet with 50 stems with just one stem of flowers, it'd probably look alright. But again, it's not very natural looking. That's not how things grow. Again, it's a bit too formal to just have one stem of this and one stem of that. I said I was going to thread them, and I've ended up putting them mainly on the outside now. Right, now I should be able to sort my shape out of it now, this Achillea. It's nice and fat-headed. So I'm trying to think to tell you when it would get to the normal size, because obviously I'm putting 10 extra stems in this. So let's have a look. Oh, we're nearly there. Okay, so I'm going to put the cosmos in and then show you the bouquet, because then that is what is my normal garden posy size, if it wasn't being made a little bit larger. tempted to say to her, you know, you don't have to spend the extra money. It's a really nice bouquet, how it usually would be. Okay, so that would be the usual size. So that's 40 stems, and that was what I would usually mark it as my posy. We're going to go ahead and put these extra stems in, if I can. I'm not even really sure whether to put the straw flowers in or maybe to put something else in. It's actually getting to the point where I almost can't hold it. And that's another reason why I would normally stop at 40 stems, because it's holdable. My larger size bouquet, I actually make as 3 and then tie it together. I switched you off to have a ponder, because this is quite a large bouquet now, and the last 5 stems I'm actually going to do a little bit differently, because the straw flowers are quite big heavy stems again, and actually my hand's starting to hurt. I'm going to use 3 Nigella blackpod, because they're much smaller stems, and 2 bits of box just to finish it off. Or I might use 2 blackpod and 3 bits of box. We'll see what it looks like. But again, just thinner stems. I just think the straw flowers are just far too big. Box, by the way, if you're obviously lucky enough to live somewhere where it's not being eaten by caterpillars, which I'm sure will happen to mine at some point, is absolutely brilliant. My God, the vase life on it, and it's brilliant in wreaths, it's brilliant in bouquets, really one of my favourite foliages to use. So we're going to go with a 3 box, and then we'll just put in 2 blackpod just to make it up to the 50. But like I say, that is 10 more stems than I would usually put in one of these posies. So I really hope it's going to fit in the vase. We will soon find out. Oh, my hand. Right, let's get these stems cut. Someone asked me in one of my last videos about these snips. I've got various snips, but these are my stay in the shed snips, and these are fantastic. Nawaki. Right, so then a bit of twine. If you watch any of the clever flower farmers or florists, they've always got a bit of twine, you know, around their neck or something. I hadn't even cut it. Right, double it up, put it around your binding point, doubled up. Then put your 2 ends through the loop. And this, I've always got to try not to catch my finger now. That's the bit I find difficult. Then pull it tight. You obviously don't want to crush the stems, but you want it to be tight to hold the bouquet in shape. Then one each way, and then do a knot, but then do a knot again before you pull. Now you shouldn't have any foliage really that's going to go in the vase, so I didn't do a very good job of getting my box stems ready. This is how not to, well, as I always say, this isn't like a how-to, this is how I do. So you don't have to go home and do it like this. Just me sharing with you how I make one of these posies. And then I always give stuff a good shake to let it breathe, so it's not all, you know, really stuffy and really tight. And again, that depends on your binding point quite often, if you've held stuff really high or really low. It's a bit taller on one side. If I can just pull some of these stems up a little bit. Right, now, when you're doing a vase of flowers or a box of flowers or whatever you're doing, you don't really want your flowers to be more than 1.5 times the receptacle. If you want things to be in proportion. So I always like to get that about right and say, generally, measure the box. Look at this tape measure I'm trying to use. Can you read that? I think I was probably allowed that one because it was broken. So 40, if I could even find, so about there, about 18 inches would be how tall you would want your flowers to be. So I'm working out if I can cut the stems anymore, basically, and I can. Here's the answer to that, so I will. Take a photograph of them before I put them in the box, actually. It's not a bad thing leaving those straw flowers out, because they're something that I can then hang up to dry, which is what I will do. I just got a new book actually on drying. I've had various successes with drying. My biggest problem is storing dry flowers. We're going to take the roof off my shed actually, where we are now, because I have a huge problem with condensation in here that starts about this time of year now, and there is condensation on it now if I touch it, which, you know, it doesn't matter greatly apart from last year I basically had to take everything out of my shed and put it in our spare bedroom in the house, which then when you've got visitors, it would be just nice if we could stop the condensation. So we won't do anything about the skylights, but here we'll just run felt underneath and it should just stop the condensation. Right, I'll go ahead and take some photographs of this and then I can show you what it looks like. Okay, so it's a little bit later on in the morning now. I ran out of time. These flowers will be being collected shortly, so I thought I'd better quickly just do a little what they look like in the box when they're finished. So there they are. So lovely, warm. Yeah, it's midsummer colours now, isn't it? We start to get a bit more vibrant. Thank you very much for joining me to make this gift bouquet this morning. Do have fun in your gardens, and I will see you in the next video.